everybody, Chris from CK Cycles here. So both of my new tires have come in, and I still need to order tubes and some rim straps, you know, the rubber strap that goes around the rim. And I'm going to clean up my rims, before I get the new tires mounted on there. So in the meantime, I've been working towards kind of the second biggest part, in my opinion, of this restoration, and that's addressing the paint and general condition of the frame and the swing arm on the bike. There was quite a bit of surface rust that I wanted to address. I didn't see any major pitting, or there's no holes or anything like that. Structurally, the frame looks great. There's just some surface rust that I wanted to address and get cleaned up. And so I built my blasting chamber, and I've been getting that up and running. And that's been a little bit of a project. It's not a commercially made blasting chamber. It's something that I put together, so I've been working on getting a few kinks and wrinkles ironed out in that system. And I have been able to successfully get about, a third of the stuff that I need media blasted. And pretty soon I'm going to be moving on to the frame. And that's what this video is going to be about, is getting the frame prepared and getting it blasted in the chamber with my glass beads so it can be painted. So let's go take a look at what I've gotten media blasted so far, and take a look at the frame and look at some of the issues that I need to address before I put the frame in the blasting chamber and get blasting it. Okay, so I've been able to successfully get the swing arm, chain guard, chain guides, and things like that blasted. I need to get them wiped down, make sure all the dirt and grease and grime are off of them before I prime them for painting. And then I'll move on to the frame. I've gotten the frame stripped down, everything except the coil here and the grounding wire. Those screws on these things are rusted in pretty solid. So that's going to take a little bit of special attention to get those out. But I will be getting those out here before I media blast the frame. Grounding wire right here is rusted in pretty good. So as you know, the XT500 is a dry sump engine, and so the oil is contained, stored, housed, I guess you could say, in the frame, in the tube here, and then it runs down and comes out. I was able to get the screen tube out here. That had a lot of pretty black, gunky, sticky stuff on it. So I'll get that all cleaned out. But when I media blast this frame, I want to do my best not to get any media in the oil reservoir in the frame at all. And so I'm going to have to make sure the oil fill is sealed up well. Make sure where the oil screen down here is sealed up well. And then over here, where the oil line attaches to the frame, and then where the vent tube for the cylinder head attaches, these will need to be sealed real well. And I have some ideas and some thoughts about how I'm going to seal those up and do my best to make sure no media gets into this reservoir. I do not want that to happen, because then it would require a ton of flushing, and I may still end up with a little media running through the engine, which I do not want. So I'm going to go through this process. I'm going to get this sealed up, get it prepped, and start getting it blasted. And I'll take some video and show you what I'm doing with this to get it ready. Okay, so one of my ideas to help seal up the oil reservoir is I found these little rubber plugs at the hardware store, and I thought I could use the rubber plugs to plug up all of my ports, and then maybe use a little bit of hot glue to really seal in around, and then maybe even a piece of tape to just kind of stick everything together. But these are just a little bit too big to fit in there, so I'm having to customize them so they'll fit. I'll just kind of show you what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm doing is I just put one of those plugs on a finishing nail in my drill, and I'm using my sanding pad here just to kind of grind the plug down to a sharper point so it'll fit inside my ports. Just takes time. All right, so here's the plug that I just ground, and I think that it'll work. They're not super secure, but like I said, I think I'm going to go around them with some hot glue, because the hot glue should peel off fairly easily after the process is done, and then maybe even wrap them in like some Gorilla Tape or something. So I'm going to do that for this port, and the port that's on the bottom of the tube, and then I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do up here for the oil fill. Okay, so I found another one of those rubber plugs. I just had to trim it down so it would fit and seat good in the oil fill. Like I said, I'm going to come back with hot glue and seal it all with hot glue and maybe even some tape. All right, now moving on to getting this sucker off and also this off. All right, so these screws are really being a bugger. I've hit them with heat, I've hit them with the chisel, and I have found that as I am trying to move them with the chisel, you know, this tab that the coil is mounted to is actually starting to bend down because I'm pounding on it, right? And that's not good. So we're gonna try something else. Okay, so what I did was MIG welded a bolt onto the head of that coil mounting screw. And I'm hoping I'll be able to get enough torque on it now to get that screw out. We will find out. Well, I hope you can see that. It's not a super close-up shot. I hope my welds don't break. Hopefully the screw breaks free. Oh, there it goes. Ooh, that's still hot from me welding. All right, there it is. Now to do that to the other one. And who knows, maybe even just the heat involved in welding the bolt on was enough to break it free. But I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Right. Woohoo! Coil off. All right, now for that pesky grounding wire. Still hot. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of heading towards frame preparation with those plugs and getting the coil off and that grounding wire off. I got the doors open on the barn here. It's a little smoky from welding. So I'm going to let it air out a bit before I close things up and turn the heat back on. But now we're going to move on to actually preparing the frame. There's still a lot of oil and grease and gunk on the frame down near where the chain and the sprockets are and things like that. And I want to get that stuff cleaned off before I get it in the blasting chamber. I found, you know, that sticky, gunky, heavy stuff doesn't tend to blast off as easily as, you know, paint. So I'm going to start to get that cleaned off and get my plugs installed and then get this frame in the blasting chamber and start blasting it. So on to the next step.